News coming in right now. Billionaire Gautam Adani now hails the Supreme Court's verdict today. Adani says the Hon'ble Supreme Court's judgment shows that truth has prevailed. Satyameva Jayate, I'm grateful to those who stood by us. Our humble contribution to India's growth story will continue. Jai Hind. So Gautam Adani posts that on social media, hailing the Supreme Court's verdict. Sakshi Batra and Srishti Ojha are now joining me live on this. Sakshi, I'll come across to you first. Of course, we are hearing from Gautam Adani for the first time, of course, as far as this verdict is concerned. In terms of how the markets have responded to this verdict, what can you tell us?
Well, Paulumi, of course, the stocks were excited even before the verdict was to come out. Even as we started the stock markets, we did see the Adani Group stocks hogging the limelight, rising as much as 15% intraday. All the group stocks up into the green. They've regained the market capitalization of 15.5 lakh crore rupees. Remember, last January, that's January of 2023, January 24th onwards, when we saw the Hindenburg research report come out. After that, the market valuation of the group fell from a steep of 23 lakh crore rupees all the way down to 6 lakh crore rupees. We've recovered 50% of that already. This was time and again during the course of this entire year when we saw several of reports coming out in favor of the Adani Group, and today the verdict coming out has been hailed by the group stocks, the investors at large, and not just the Adani Group stocks. It's the PSU banks that have the largest exposure to the Adani Group, who've loaned to the Adani Group. That was under pressure. The Nifty PSU banking index is the top moving sectoral index as well, with a lot of PSU banks rallying in trade, with now their dues also coming into fore, that they are not at the risk of becoming bad assets with this kind of an overhang from the Hindenburg research report. Gautam hailing the Supreme Court verdict, but remember, the Adani Group has held right from the very start that all these allegations made by Hindenburg research report, they lack evidence, they are malicious in nature as well. So from that time till now, there has been no change in stance that Gautam Adani or the Adani Group has had so far, but the verdict is definitely a big win for them.
Okay, Sakshi, you telling us, of course, how the markets have already reacted to this verdict as it started pouring in probably before the verdict in itself. So does this reassure investors?
Absolutely, this does reassure all the investors who've been, holding on to such volatile times in the last 1 year. All of those investors who've been trusting with the Adani Group and the India growth story that it is banking big on. Remember, it's from an apples to a power to a port conglomerate. It's a huge conglomerate with several of the stocks, participating in the manufacturing story of the Indian growth story as well. So all of those investors, at least this is a very reassuring step. I do not say that, and we've been listening from all our Supreme Court reporters as well, that this is not a clean chit yet, because still Sebi has 3 months time to complete the last 2 probes. But so far as far, whatever the verdict has come out is definitely reassuring for all the investors.
Right. Sakshi, stay on with us. Srishti Ojha is also joining us. She's outside the Supreme Court right now. Srishti, I believe you have one of the petitioners with you. Go ahead.
Well, yes, we are joined by Advocate Vishal Tiwari, who I should tell you was the petitioner in this case. He had filed a plea seeking court-monitored probe into the entire Adani-Hindenburg issue. So clearly said that there's no room to question Sebi's investigation.
Concern to my petition and my prayer, the Judicial Committee submitted its report and also suggested some recommendations. Directed the government that those recommendations shall be considered by the respondents, and if such then definitely we are sure that regulatory mechanism in the future and investors' money will remain safe. In judgment is a very landmark judgment, and if we see it is a positive judgment.
Sir, do you see back for the petitioners, because you had filed a contempt petition also?
It cannot be said a setback, because our contempt petition concluded its investigations within the time frame has given to it. So upon that, 3 months more to conclude the 2 investigations, and say contempt petitions or the contempt pair was not dismissed, but
what about the transfer of investigations? The court has clearly said the from Sebi to any other SIT or CBI.
See, there was no request from my side to transfer the investigation. other petitioners or petitions, they were requesting power to transfer, but in the present circumstances, we do not concrete ground to transfer the investigation from Sebi to.
So much for speaking to India Today, sir. That was Advocate Vishal Tiwari, petitioner in this case. They were seeking a court-monitored probe. The court has very clearly said that there's no doubt of questioning the to the Adani-Hindenburg case. Last year, court had directed investigation into the entire, to conduct an extensive investigation, constituted a 6-member expert committee.
Right.
Some of the petitioners had questioned Sebi's investigation and the investigation, but today the court has clearly said that there's no the impartiality of the members of the not to be questioned, and Hindenburg or any other report does not want to transfer the investigation from Sebi to SI.
Right, and a verdict that Gautam Adani himself now has hailed. For joining us with all of those details, but we've got more news. That verdict from the Supreme Court, the Congress now Sebi's probe in the Adani case. Manish Tiwari, Congress member of Parliament, a fundamental fact remains that the Hindenburg report came into 1 year ago, and since 1 year, Sebi has been dragging in the Hindenburg report. If on a matter as sensitive as this, to even complete an investigation, it just goes to the Sebi is. If Sebi wanted, it could have completed a long time back, and we repeatedly raised this matter of finance. Manish Tiwari, they're saying that the Sebi has been delayed, and Sebi.
The fundamental fact Hindenburg report came into the public domain exactly 1 year ago. And since 1 year, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is charged with the remit of superintending India's capital markets, has been dragging its feet on the on the allegations made in the Hindenburg report. So therefore, if on a matter as sensitive as this, which has agitated not only Parliament, but people across the length and breadth of the country, if not the world, it takes 1 year to even complete an investigation. It just goes to show as to how lackadaisical the attitude of the Securities and Exchange Board of India is. The fact remains that the Securities and Exchange Board of India, if it wanted, it could have completed the investigation a long time back. And we repeatedly raised this matter even in the Parliamentary Standing Committee